You're listening to Cinema Red Pill. I'm Sharon here with
Timothy
and Joel,
my usual people, and we're going to attempt a Halloween episode. This is our Halloween episode anyway, and we're going to talk about a horror movie, but a recent horror movie, and it's Hereditary. Mm-hmm. The choice is mostly coming from Timothy's love for it. Joel, you hadn't yet seen it, so I don't even know if you have love or just lukewarm like for it. But
we'll get to that.
Yes, we'll get to it. But Timothy really digs the movie, and we're going to do it. It's by a first-time director called Ari Aster, and it tells the story about a mother played by Toni Collette. Toni Collette's mother.
Okay. The
matriarch of the family dies. The movie starts shortly after she has died, and they go on to sort of show that she cast a shadow on the family. It's called Hereditary, so there's the sense of something has been passed on coming from her.
Yeah.
And after her mother's death, it's unfortunate that her daughter also dies.
Spoilers.
Oh, we're spoiling.
Yeah.
Her daughter also dies, and after her daughter dies, that's when shit really goes south.
Yeah.
That's the small synopsis I can say. It's a family drama. It's also a horror, of course. We're doing a horror movie, and yeah, it has all that. Let's begin. I don't want to get too hard into it, but I wanted us to first talk about how scary it is. If it was actually scary. I wanted us to talk about the scare factor of the movie, because one of the major things about a movie like this, since it doesn't have jump scares or
to its credit,
it doesn't have like a creepy supernatural thing that's going to be in your dreams forever, and that makes people find it not scary. That's like from observation of other people, but I just wanted to know the scare factor for you guys, and I wanted to start with Timothy, of course. It's his movie.
Okay. It's not my movie. I don't know.
It's your movie.
It's my movie. Anyway, so about the scare factor, this movie is described, at least according to its Wikipedia, as a supernatural horror.
Okay.
Which would not put it along the line of The Exorcist. Movies with supernatural beings, demons, the like.
Okay.
But then, as you say, people who watch it don't think it's an all-out scary film like a horror movie. It might also saw the film a bit like a psychological horror.
Yep.
And actually, before I came out, actually looked down this stuff and actually come with like psychological horror, the characteristics. So this is it.
See why it's your movie?
I knew this would come up, the whole scare thing.
So you prepared an essay.
Psychological horror relies on mental, emotional, and psychological states to frighten, disturb, unsettle, and mystery and unstable characters to enhance suspense, drama, paranoia, and provide a distressing atmosphere. And I think that's pretty much what Hereditary is.
Okay.
It was probably maybe it was a marketing thing.
It's definitely a marketing
thing to get it as widely seen as possible. So it was pushed as this horror film, very scary. But I think it's mostly a psychological horror, where it relies on other things besides the demon itself. That is like a key part of the film and everything, but it relies more on the psychological states of everyone involved in this story. So on that note, I'd say it was a scary movie to me. I actually appreciated it. I was disturbed, first of all, by the relationships in the family.
We'll detail that after, so don't.
But all those details that actually I enjoyed about this film, besides the horror, because people probably want to go and see scary stuff, but there's so much about it that I liked, that even if it's not scary, it was still a very effective horror film for me.
Okay. Joel, scare factor.
I'll say to its credit, not having jump scares, that's a good thing. Maybe had like 2 in the entire movie. So maybe, arguably.
I remember
possibly.
The ending has 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can only remember ever feeling like genuinely scared in like one scene, which I guess we might get into like as we talk. There's literally just one scene where I was like, okay, that's actually creepy. And I do like that you brought up the psychological horror thing, because I did feel like it was trying to do that, but for me it failed to like really hit me, because I felt like there's that psychological element it was doing, but at the same time it had these goofy, over the top supernatural things. It didn't have that balance, I would say, like The Witch had. And the witch rate had that like persistent atmosphere of just something horrible is about to happen, And like The Witch, this movie doesn't give you like too many details of what's happening and what. So they were sort of following that same format, but for me, it didn't really capture me the way The Witch did. I wasn't like really absorbed to the world, because it would be doing that and then goofy stuff would happen and sort of take me out. So I was not scared, and sometimes I would laugh. Like how how hilarious it was. Yeah, I laughed maybe like twice. That casino where she's like, she's on a wire, and it's hilarious. But I liked it in terms of like, that's like a goofy old school horror thing. I don't know if they actually wanted to be genuinely scary, but I'd say it wasn't necessarily scary. I feel like it didn't quite hit the mark. I feel like it was trying to mix two different things and wound up really not doing really well on either of the two. Yeah.
I actually that thing you said of it having looming dread, I actually thought it really had it, and that's one of the few things that kept me to it, because they really make that lead character all really uneasy, and you feel her uneasiness, and it kind of works for me in that way. In terms of being scary, I didn't end with it feeling scary. I just ended happy with what the movie had done. I sort of appreciated both things the movie was doing, but not in terms of it being scary, but in terms of the narrative it had taken and the story and how it's sort of trying to have like a mythology in it. I like that. So I took that away more than being scared of it. So even it being a Halloween pick was so tricky for me, because I'm half. I wanted to bring Brenda, because for her she was full-blown scared by it. By Hereditary, she was full-blown scared, like this is the scariest thing ever and I need to see more horrors, is her reaction. This is me repeating something she wrote on Twitter, and I was hoping she'd come, but she got into a border accident. Sorry, Brenda. But sorry. And I'm not in that group also.
But there was one quote I saw where the director, Ari Aster guy, where he described, he said that this film, he doesn't see it as a horror film, but it's a tragedy that turns into a nightmare. So that's pretty much, I think, and that's how I say with again the branding, and it was packaged, probably it was packaged as a horror film and people went in with these expectations, but I'm sure from the get-go, this guy, his intention really wasn't scare. Just do something. Let's play on the psychology of his characters.
I guess to like this stuff.
Okay, now let's get into the characters and the story. And all of it, even up to the climax. We're going there. We're going to all the story elements. And Timothy, of course, you start. Tell us.
Story elements.
Story, character, narrative, everything.
Okay, character. I would say that, because this story is mainly about all the characters are from one family unit mainly. The grandmother is the mother of the matriarch of the family. She was the only she had 2 kids. The matriarch had 2 kids. She lost one. She lost the husband. The husband apparently stabbed himself, and the son was schizophrenic. He kills himself. So Annie remains. That's the character played by Toni Collette. Now she has a husband. I think Steve. And 2 kids, Charlie and Peter, I think. So the whole story is about how it wasn't even there's a point where they talk, where she comes out and says that her relationship with her mother wasn't the best. And even when she had Peter, she didn't really let her mother come and like connect with the kid. Like she kept Peter away. But then when she had her second kid, Charlie, the girl, that's when she opened up and she was like, my mom's sunk her hooks into her. So again, that's how. No, I think that's because I don't know if I'm spoiling if I jump.
You must spoil. I said jump as far as the climax.
Okay. As far as the climax. Okay, so early in the film we realize that Charlie is not okay. She's probably either being haunted or she's not mentally well, the kid. But we realize that later we realize that there's this demon that had been put in her as by the cult, by her mom's cult. But the demon actually wanted a male body. So pretty much after Charlie, the daughter, who dies tragically early in the film, the rest of the movie is pretty much this demon just trying to get its male host. So that's when the mother, after losing her daughter, she has to go to this grieving. I don't know how they call it. It's like, is it grieving anonymous? People who are grieving. Support group.
People have lost family members.
So the support group, she meets a lady there who is very nice to her, shares like her experiences, And then later on, this lady, after they've made a bond, later on she meets her, and this lady is happy. She's no longer grieving. She's like, I've been in touch with my kid and all that, and with my son. Is it my son or
Yeah, it
grandson?
was a son and grandson.
Yeah. So now she goes to this thing and does a seance. And on doing this seance, because the character of Anne is very skeptical, this time she actually believes. And she does the seance herself, and she gets similar results. She actually believes Charlie has come back to her, not knowing she actually unleashed like this malevolent spirit all over on her family. So pretty much after that, when Annie understands what's happening, the rest of the movie is just her trying to reverse that. But by the time she's already fractured the relationship with her son, her husband doesn't believe her. He thinks she should go to like a madhouse or something. Yeah, so out of all that, by the end of the film, because in this movie the bad guys win. So at the end of this film, the family,
that's what
no one. Okay,
pretty much
dad is
every
dead,
horror.
Charlie is done. Peter is alive, but now he's being possessed by this demon called Paimon. Who was like even in. Because actually, I spoke to people who are like actually hardcore Christians.
Yeah.
And not these Christians who go to church. The Christians who like go deep into like Hebrew mythology and stuff.
Yeah.
And they actually didn't like this movie. They're like, this movie is like some Hollywood propaganda, devil worshipping.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
this movie was very close to some very real demonic mythology. So that whole thing of in the end, this Paimon guy actually gets the body that he wants, and these people are worshipping. It's kind of like the tragedy at the end of the film. The film begins with the tragedy, and again at the end of the film, there's another tragedy. So yeah, the most interesting thing for me was the characters, the relationship, the breakdown of that family unit when everything starts happening. In the beginning, we see Charlie, the kid, doesn't sleep in the house with them, even she sleeps in her tree house. The mother has her own issues. She's a workaholic. She's like a miniature artist.
Yeah.
The dad is really the one who's trying to hold everything together, trying to do the unconventional father role of being the one who mothers the people pretty much. So like that was very interesting. But another thing I want to go on to is like actually the film was shot on a sound stage. Like it was shot on
The house,
apart from the
home.
exteriors, like but the home itself was on a sound stage. And even there's that really cool beginning shot where it like pans from a window, then turns and goes to like the house, and it's actually like a doll house, and you're seeing Peter in bed and his dad. Yeah, it was actually cool because that stuff was actually shot using a real house. They built a real structure. So I saw some of the things from the beginning. When I saw that, I was like, this is probably a game that has this family, and they're just part of this bigger thing they don't understand. They're basically like dolls in this dollhouse.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I found really interesting about this narrative and the way the film was done. I don't know.
What did you think of Toni Collette, the
She
actress?
was great. She was by far the best
the
actress, best actor in the film. She carried the film. She was, I don't know, there were those scenes where she would like imagine, because she used to sleepwalk. So there would be those scenes that, I don't know, they were very disturbing. Like the whole idea of your mom can go, there's that scene where they even catch fire at the end. Those were like the most haunting scenes for me, like in the film, more than even all this other stuff of just those small interactions. So I think she was the best. I really liked her role. The kid, she was there for Charlie. The kid
Charlie
was there for a short while, but I don't know if she looks like that. But
Yeah,
she was
face
very
is amazing.
She looked the part. Like someone who wasn't okay. Then Peter was okay. The kid, the boy, was okay. He wasn't. And the dad is a famous actress. I think he was in Usual Suspect.
Oh yeah.
he's a famous
I
actress.
hadn't really seen him. Is he in Game of Thrones or something?
I don't know.
No,
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't think.
Before we move from you, so what exactly sealed the deal for you with Hereditary?
Hereditary.
What really struck you there?
Because first of all, this film is a directorial debut.
Yeah.
And like the first time I watched it, I liked the way the film was put together.
Okay.
But when watching it a second time, just seeing how exactly he put all these things, because pretty much everything that, like, he gives a subtle hint at everything. Like nothing just happens out of the random. Because even there's this one scene, like when they're in class in the beginning, I think Peter is in class, is looking at this chick's ass, and then they're talking about like Greek tragedy and all that. And then they have this whole dialogue about how they keep handing them the clues the whole play, but they're too arrogant to see it. So that's something, like when I went back and watched and actually paid attention, I saw how this guy really handed us all the clues. But just because the first time you probably won't see it, but afterwards you come and get a hint
get all the
of
clues.
everything. So the way that tied in, it's probably those movies that get better as you watch it, because you pick up on different things.
Okay. Joel, tell. Narrative, character, story, all of it. Thoughts?
Well, to begin with, I wasn't enjoying it at the beginning, because I felt like it dragged on for the better part of 30 minutes. It took me like 30 minutes for me to like start sort of getting into the story, and I think that was around the point where they go to the party and then the kid gets her head like decapitated. And for me, that was one of the best moments in the story, because I think I was enjoying more of that tragedy family element as opposed to that supernatural stuff. And when I tried not to think about the supernatural stuff going on, I actually just enjoyed that tragic set of circumstances.
And I think it's actually heavily influenced by Greek tragedy. Like I was watching something, and the explanation they were giving was that it actually is more of not even a horror; it's just a tragedy film.
Yeah. And the thing also you were saying about him dropping hints, for me that worked to the detriment. I watched it for the first time like yesterday. Yeah, but for me it worked to the detriment because I feel like I've seen a lot of that narrative in so many supernatural films, especially with this kind of genre, like a family going crazy and murdering themselves. It made me think back to, I don't know if it was The Conjuring 2 or 3. What was there was a movie with this? No, there was a movie with this spirit called Mr. Boogie or something. It would like possess children and make them murder their entire family. Then you take them away. I just can't remember what it was. That was a very scary movie. And I kept thinking back to that and like how well put together, like tonally that was, and the way it built up, like its characters even. It did have that Stephen King cliche of like, drunk alcoholic writer takes his family to haunted house and everything goes crazy. Yeah, but like in terms of the family fighting back and forth, I related more with that cliche structure than this one, which was a little more ambiguous, because it starts with like the grandma has already passed, and I felt like I was more interested in seeing more of her before she passed, and maybe seeing how Charlie.
No, but that's I think the point actually.
No, I know it's the point, but I'm saying like for me, I felt I was more interested in that than 30 minutes of watching this family, and like just I felt like that could have been cut a little more. Yeah, but I really did enjoy the vibe Charlie had, decapitating birds' heads and stuff. Peter was fine. Toni Collette took me a while to get into her character. Again, I also got into her character like the midway point around there. But yeah, really the first half for me was just kind of like a bit of a waste. Then when it sort of starts up and gets to all the supernatural stuff, it started to irritate me at some point. The way it didn't have any sort of concrete rules to work with that like made sense, because like it pissed me off where she tosses the book in, she catches fire, then she tosses the book in, and this time he catches fire. In terms of just the logic of why that was happening, other than it just being a convenient, oh my god, this is happening, that sort of irritated me. It's supposed like The Exorcist, which had like these sort of rules of like, you do this happens, you do this happens, or you know what you're going into. And the villain like overturning that is like what is scary. This one was just sort of, I felt like it was just picking and choosing whatever was convenient to like scare you. Yeah. What I will point out, what I did find scary were like two scenes like for supernatural bit. It's the first scene where she sees the grandma in the darkness, and the second scene is where Peter wakes up and his mom is like chilling on the corner of the wall. And the reason I like those scenes is because you're like sort of trying to squint, like you feel like your eyes are also deceiving you, so sort of squint as like there's something there, like oh shit, something's there. I really enjoy like atmospheric stuff like that. That's just there, and it like settles, and you look at it, and it enters your brain. And for me, that was a genuine like horrific thing that I enjoyed. But then she flew away on strings, and then I laughed. I sort of taken out of that, and the end also was a little cringy when this chick lists all the exposition for like Paimon in like the last 5 minutes, where like he has entered the body and they're worshipping him and stuff. I was like, I don't know that I needed to hear all that stuff necessarily. I feel like context clues wise we had gotten kind of a lot of that information. And I feel like the movie was really working off of like the ambiguity of the situation, and you something this mysterious thing and blah blah blah. And I feel like I could have just closed off with him entering a treehouse, and I would have been good. I didn't see, oh, look at all the dead family members bowing down to Paimon, and the whole family was sacrificed for this to happen. I was like, don't necessarily need. That's why it got like goofy, which is fine, but it's like it was a little goofy and over the top. But yeah, this movie was like mix and match, where I had like I had like a couple of things that I like, a couple of good ideas. But then when I thought about the whole thing together, I don't feel like it necessarily fit. But I'll agree with you from like a technical like standpoint, just the way it's shot, the way it's like lit, that stuff. It's a really pretty film to look at as well. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but another thing I think, like for this film in particular, like and the problem is that it's really hard because even I haven't fully wrapped like my mind around all these things. But like again, some of the stuff you've been saying, like some of the issues you had, I would say again, I don't know. I would recommend you like Channel Prisma, right? You've seen their Old Boy episode.
I have. Yeah.
Like you should actually watch because it's similar. It explains the whole thing and how the beginning, how like the genesis of the story, which is in this case also like the death of the mother. How you're not shown that. Then the whole big first half of the movie, they basically stress effect. Like why, like you see things happening, but you don't particularly understand them. Then at the end of the movie, now that's when all the cause is explained, and that's maybe why you were saying that you didn't know why they're explaining so many things at the end. The whole
I mean that's why
in the beginning they didn't show the mom and how she died, and they just begin with like the prologue was basically the obituary, like she died, she has these kids, they list everyone, Barry is at this place. From there they just go into effect, Charlie's acting weird, the family is crumbling. What's not, then at the end, that's when they're now going to cause you understand this other chick, her friend wasn't reliable, she could have channeled something, they brought in a demon, all that. So if you actually see it in that light, it actually really fits together.
I mean, that's why I said earlier, I got the sense of what the director is trying to do, but the way it was executed just didn't work. Like the pieces didn't quite work together. So by the time we hit the end, I was like almost completely lost and disinterested. And the reveals weren't like the Old Boy reveal of, oh shit, you fucked your daughter. That's like that's insane. That's an insane sort of thing to drop on someone. I feel like that was something that was very earned. And when you think about the meticulous way he manipulated this guy to get to that point, I feel like Old Boy did that tragedy like really well in terms of execution. But this one, in terms of like just even the lore that it built, wasn't particularly solid or like interesting. It's like, oh, there's maybe this demon and maybe your mom was a part of a cult, but it's like they don't give you enough of, they don't have, horror films always have that professor. You got that professor at the library who pulls out a book, is like, oh, there's this demon and he does this and this. It's a horrible cliche, but I was almost hoping the middle of the movie had something like that, like some clues, just to keep like building up to something, so the characters at least feel like they're about to get a hand on a thing, which they tried to do with Toni Collette, which is like I've sort of figured out.
No, even like this chick, when like they show her house and it's actually like a shrine and everything. And
I mean, it's like, the movie would try to do certain things, but they wouldn't quite hit, because I did get the sense the director was trying to do something different and try to circumvent some of those tropes a bit. So I mean, it was a good like effort. It just did not work for me in particular, I'll say.
That thing you said about if it had ended without them explaining, Paimon would have been good for you.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Because we had seen the thing is we had seen the book. Like,
so that gave you the clue that it was Paimon?
Yes, like, oh, let Paimon. Like, and the grandma legit highlighted for us everything. Prefers a male heir, prefers what? I was like, oh shit, so they're going after Peter. Then they cut to Peter. I'm like, done. I've got the entire movie. So grandma's birthday coming and telling me again is like
No, but they have to show like the cult succeeded. I think that was the whole point of it. And that's one of the things that people don't like about it.
Yeah.
Like the bad guys actually win, and they emphasize like they don't let it
found
No,
it
but
like
that's
so effective.
yeah,
and
but
even
that's
like that final shot when they just
Well,
show
so much for me.
the thing because that wasn't really that wasn't a particularly big wow factor for me as well. The bad guys winning, because I went in anyway knowing because that's almost every horror film.
You knew that bad guys would.
Yeah.
So, well, now you're being narcissistic.
No, I promise. No, I promise.
You're being narcissistic.
No, I
you knew
promise.
the end as soon as you went in.
I promise.
Okay.
It's a classic, like all these films with families stuck in houses. Never ends well. Never ends
has
with
never
like well,
shocked you.
it has never ended that way. And even if it ends with a happy ending, it ends with like the bad guy coming back to
But
life
you've
and going to
admitted
fuck them
sometimes
up.
it's different. So yeah, they're different.
When is it
sometimes.
different though?
You said, but if they do that, that's
Yeah, but then it
narcissistic to say
didn't.
that you'll know obviously what they're going to do.
No,
But just
no,
know
I'm
that
saying
they're
in terms of the way it was building
No,
up.
but I don't think I'd seen a possession movie where
They've
bad
never
guys
won.
win. Yes,
They've
the thing, and that
won.
was
No,
different.
they've won. I mean, they've won.
Like which one? I don't think I've seen any big.
No, Stephen King, they won.
Do they all win in
Right?
Conjuring?
In Conjuring, I don't think I've really watched
So
those
that
till
even
the end.
invalidates your point
No, but
over
there's that-
again.
I just need to find the title of that movie with that thing that like captures children and stuff. But I feel like I've seen a bunch of movies with that thing, and the way it was building up to that. I did not see a scenario where they walked out of this alive.
So you'd rather
At
they
all.
did show.
No, yeah. Like for me, it was enough because he falls off the like outside the window, and we see that shiny thingy
light.
like enter him, and you have the creepy corpses, or walking corpses, of like
His
all people
his
in the
mom's head
woods.
falling up in the
Yeah. Then you have the headless mom's body
Was
like
that
floating
scary,
in.
though, when the mom is
That
stuck
was-
ahead.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting, and the weird guys in the corner watching. That was interesting. So for me, the headless body floating inside, and then that just one shot of then Peter walking to the treehouse and entering, as done because like all the cult was there in a row. Peter has been possessed. It's done.
But then
I just didn't.
In
it's not-
regards to effect, would it have been more effective for you? If
For me personally, it was more effective that way because they had rehooked me again with just the atmosphere of that entire scene. Mama sawed her head off. Peter's jumped out the window. He's possessed. I was like, okay, cool, done. Then it sort of got goofy. This is more of like a subjective
Yes.
thing, really.
But
yeah.
don't be narcissistic,
And then-
always saying you know the endings.
No, I'm not saying I always know the ending. I just said I knew it for this one.
For that one, not
Yes,
always.
for this one, not for all
Let's
the
not
movies.
generalize.
But I feel like I've seen a bunch of stories end this way in tragedy. Even like the classic Jason and what's this other guy, Freddy and Jason movies, always end badly. Almost everybody dies, or they think they've defeated the villain, and he wakes up randomly at the end, and you know those characters are fucked. So I feel like all horrors try to end with that unsettling thing. Even The Witch ends with just everything's fucked. The family's dead. She actually turns into a witch, and that's the end. So I sort of expected that they would go for that disturbing sort of end. I would have been surprised if it was a happy ending. That would have completely surprised me.
Power of Christ compels you.
Yeah, the part.
But I didn't realize that actually in that attic thing, the head on that statue was actually Charlie's. The first time I watched it, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Okay.
And that's another scary shot by that one of the next morning when Charlie's head is on the road after being.
Yeah,
Those
I
are like-
really
those are like some of the
liked
reels.
that stuff. Yeah.
Then there was that dream the mom had where like she goes to the kid's room and there are like ants coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, I
The
love
whole dialogue
all
after
that stuff.
It was
Even just
reaching
that,
some
even
moments, it was
just that
reaching
little one of
moments.
her strangling him from the back. I liked all that stuff. The psychological stuff was really good. Even just that whole scene of Charlie has decapitated his sister's head, drives all the way home, enters bed.
No, that's one of the
That
scariest
was
things I've seen hands down.
yeah.
in
That
a
was
movie, like ever,
perfect.
ever.
That was perfectly
That whole
done.
thing of you just go home, park that car,
Yeah.
enter
So
your bed
like
and wait for the morning.
yeah. So I
That's
really
the
liked
scariest shit,
that stuff.
That was scary.
Yeah.
So your favorite scenes?
What you just mentioned.
I feel like I've mentioned them. But yeah.
Beheading, the decapitation scene, the different dreams. The mom, I don't know if that were they dreams or sleepwalking basically.
Yeah.
When she came and found ants coming out of the son's mouth.
I also like the argument scene.
Yeah, the arguments. There's that dinner scene.
Yeah.
That really goes south, and everyone is blaming everyone.
That's why I was very sold on her acting, like completely. We're still kind of, but yeah, just her explosion and though she was shaking, I feel like I was also shaking as
You
well.
have that face on your face.
You have the face. Yeah, you have a face on your face. You're like shit. And Dad is there chilling. I felt I related a lot with just that whole dynamic of that one family member, like in the middle of like crazy stuff like happening. I enjoyed that, and I also enjoyed the infant side sort of theme of like she like tried to have miscarriages and now she tried to like light the children on fire, and I like those little details because I picked up on them and they're like really nice. So all that psychological, any psychological family stuff was nice.
My sister psychological horror.
Yeah, so I hope
people might go and say it's all out horror, but it's really psychological horror.
Yeah,
pretty much like because I've seen even he said the films that inspired him when he made it were Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, this
Batman's
is very
Cries and Whispers. Like you can really see it's not all out horror.
Yeah,
it's really
a lot of Rosemary's Baby vibes.
Yeah, definitely. There's a cult and
and they were children.
Okay. Do you feel like we've talked about the technical elements, or you're good?
I mentioned the miniature thing. That's the one thing I liked.
Yeah, that's
how the house mirrored the miniature things she was also doing on the side.
Yeah,
that was something cool stylistically about it.
Oh yeah, and I just love that disturbing scene where she had a miniature of her daughter's decapitated head.
She actually made one.
Like shit.
She was like, it's an objective view of the office.
Yeah, that's I think that's the only scene actually that got like a genuine like human reaction out to me, like fuck you.
But the whole thing that's made on the sunset to mirror the miniature she's making the house also looked like a miniature house pretty much.
Yeah.
That was like pretty much the main aesthetic thing about the film for me.
Okay.
But you want to talk about the score and whatnot?
I don't remember it. It does its job. That's it's not particularly. I think actually if it had a really good score, it would have.
But you need to watch it again.
Elevated.
You need to watch it one more time.
No, probably I'll put it on the list with Dunkirk.
Yeah, you watch it like
one
more
again.
time. Check it out.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think.
would you consider, your feelings, the movie aside, would you consider this like a Halloween movie? Is this something you'd recommend to someone to watch on Halloween as scary movie? And not to like cinephile bad days or these interesting things, but just like a regular person like this on Halloween.
Yeah. The people have shown this film actually find it really disturbing.
Yeah.
I'll maybe manage I'll tell them like, you're about to shit yourself watching this movie, but you get I would recommend it. Something you can watch. It's terrifying in parts, and like there are some things like when you see them for the first time, they'll shock you. Like I watched the whole beheading thing. I watched it with someone. They had first pause.
Really?
Like they first take a breath and be like, "What the fuck is happening?" We're like 20 minutes in, someone is being. So I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's all out scary. It depends what you want to call a Halloween movie. Because I watched another movie recently when we first met. I'm pretty sure that's a Halloween movie.
I haven't seen.
You haven't seen it?
No.
It's a romantic comedy. You should see it. But it's a Halloween movie because like this whole thing of it keeps up. It's a Groundhog Day on Halloween, and it's basically that would be a Halloween film. Yeah. Then there might be the more traditional John Carpenter Halloween line that you might take. So it really depends on who's watching.
Well, like what would I don't know if this is like a nice way to end it. Of like what would be your number one Halloween film? Just is there anything that like comes to mind? Like just a personal
Halloween.
Like a very personal thing, like the way guys say, Die Hard, that's my Christmas movie.
I don't know, because personally, I don't really recognize Halloween, so it's not something
Yeah,
that
me
really,
neither.
it's not something that really,
I
that
don't
really
really
sticks with me. Like
horror
I
even
movies
as a
that,
genre in
So
general.
you
It's
say
not like
never
my
into like
favorite.
those. I know what you did last summer movies,
Yeah.
scary
I'd say
movies.
Scream, maybe Scream.
Or Scream.
The
Yeah, Scream is
Ghostface Killer,
fun,
Ghostface Killer for me is like the same. Him and Halloween are just
yeah. One.
so maybe I'll say Scream or something.
Yours, Joe?
Mine would be very, very, very specific ones. But what's it called? The one is Johnny Depp, the demon baba of what? That music
Yeah.
where he was
Sweeney
like,
Todd.
yeah, Sweeney Todd. They're always butchering people and serving them.
Pies.
That is an enjoyably like sadistic and disturbing movie. I just like how whimsical it is and it's like murdering people. Yeah, that's something that legitimately like unsettles me, but it's also like fun. Which are movies I liked as a kid, like getting scared but like laughing at the same time. That's sort of something that scared you and you're like super. You get like that jolt of like amazing stuff. So
I can't think of any.
yeah, I think generally we're not like big horror. Big horror fans, so yeah, this was definitely a step outside of the usual genres I'd settle down to watch.
I know.
So it was there.
And it actually, this movie didn't do that well, because compared to like other horrors made for little money, usually you see them making like 300 million, The Conjuring, where they're like,
I mean,
this one really made 79 million on like on a 10 million budget. So
yeah. How many movies is
As is-
Conjuring have now?
I think like two.
It's because it has like a cinematic universe now.
There's the Nun. There's the Nun.
Yeah.
But there's the
Nun.
Nun, which is
There's
in the
Nun,
same
yeah.
universe.
The Nun.
There's
It might be the
Annabelle.
third, I think. Is it? It's the third in that.
There's Annabelle also.
Oh yeah,
Annabelle
with
is
the
also
with the
Conjuring
doll.
thing, yeah.
Oh yeah. Because it's
I've
the
seen, like,
same
one of
two
them.
characters, the husband and
Yeah. The
Wife.
okay.
yeah. I just know about this. I just have I like watching it is usually tough. But yeah.
Should do like a Saw next time and come and discuss the aesthetics of Saw.
Oh my god, that's like
Slasher movie.
I think I watched like 5 of those maybe. Yeah, but that was when I was really into
Not the
like.
stuff that guys find scary. Like you're going to tell them about Paimon, what?
Yeah.
what.
But I mean, because that stuff is prime when like a
Yeah.
really crazy level. Of,
No,
yo, you have to
no,
cut your toe off right now.
Mm.
That will hit anyone anywhere.
No, but I think this is the only stuff that scares me because when I see,
Yeah.
like I don't know, maybe I can't watch the images, like
Yeah.
they are too disturbing.
Yeah.
But I'm more scared by supernatural stuff, like these slasher films,
Yeah.
the Saw type films.
Yeah.
Those ones really don't scare me.
Yeah,
But
because
I like the supernatural stuff, the possession stuff, that stuff which maybe because of my upbringing and you grew up Christian and all that, you have these fears of like there's a whole other world, the whole other spiritual world that
yeah, that's the
can
thing.
come and
Is,
attack you. And that's,
yeah, I mean that
the
stuff was
only
also
stuff
at the
that
back
scares
of
me.
my head because I used to watch horrors very differently. It scare me in a very different way. But yeah, but now it's kind of. I mean, when that chick was jazzing her, no, they brought scientists and skeptics. That's the only part
Yeah.
actually I cringed and paused. That was.
just
But yeah, it's. I don't know. It's an okay movie. I would say in terms of contemporary horror movies, I think The Witch is the best I've seen in like a long time. I like that atmosphere, and I think I'm also into that era of like the Pilgrims and that
Pilgrims.
stuff. So I was into
Rowan.
all that. Yeah, minimalist stuff. Yeah, we're exhausted and over-exhausted. I think we're done.
Kale, that has been our episode. I'm Sharon.
I'm Timothy.
And I'm Joel.
Follow us on SoundCloud, Twitter, Facebook, and our website, cinemaredpill.com. Happy Halloween.
If you're into
Happy
that stuff.
Halloween. If you're into
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It's an African and Ugandan.